The Boys Season 2 has just wrapped up, and what a season it was. So if you're interested in the thematics of Amazon's original The Boys, then keep watching this video. Oh, and for my returning subscribers, don't worry, this is just a one-off and my normal content won't be going anywhere. And for any new viewers, I mainly make videos on anime and manga, so if any of that interests you, then consider subscribing and ringing the bell. Anyway, on with the video. Also, spoiler warning for The Boys Season 1 and 2, and this video will touch on political and socio-economic issues just by the nature of the series and its subject matter, so be prepared for that. The Boys is a deconstruction of the superhero genre, taking the idea of real-life superheroes to a logical extreme. It is based on the comic run of the same name, which I highly recommend, building upon the ideas presented in the comic and taking them to much higher heights. However, considering how different the show is from the source material by this point, I will keep my discussion in the video directly aimed at the TV show. One of the biggest ideas explored in the 2 seasons of the show is the idea of marketing and branding. Despite how much people may not like it, the world is run by money and corporations, with even seemingly selfless causes like charities and conservation being ankle deep in the world of capital. And this is just a part of our society. So of course if superheroes didn't exist, then you know full well that sooner or later money would get involved and that sooner or later someone would be making a hell of a lot of money. I mean, think about it this way, the Western comic industry is dominated by 2 companies, Marvel and DC, and although both these companies have printed a wide variety of genres over the years, there is no denying that superhero comics absolutely destroy any of these other genres in terms of sales and revenue. And what is the highest grossing movie ever, not counting for inflation? That would be Avengers Endgame, a superhero movie, and well, the MCU as a whole has made $22.5 billion by April of this year. The amount of money in these fictional characters and properties is insane, and remember, they are fictional. People inherently like superheroes, they are strong, powerful, and act as a role model for the young. They often offer commentary on the political landscape in an escapist form that allows you to feel free from the cesspool we call everyday life. So if superheroes really did exist, then you know people would love them, and as a result people would pay for their merchandise, their comic lines and their movies. I think in this regard, the Boys universe is ridiculously close to our own, in that those things people love do very well financially. However, much like how many real life actors, athletes, musicians put on an act when the cameras are rolling, the same is true for Vought superheroes. They are, as the show presents it, at least awful people, the majority that is, in the game for money, fame and all the perks that come with it too. And one of the biggest reasons I believe this to be the case is due to the simple fact that none of these supes chose to become heroes, they didn't choose to become super. In the show it is explained that supes are not natural, they are just babies who are injected with a drug called Compound V from a young age. Why? Because their parents got a fat check for it. In the name of making more money, these parents who obviously already placed money over the safety of their children, raise their kids in the aim of becoming superheroes. These kids would have been told from day one to become superheroes by their parents, and so would see no other logical choice in life to follow. Lamplighter's father, for example, was thrilled when his son burnt down his house, as it meant he had potential as a superhero and had potential to make money. One of the most profound quotes in fiction, and one that has honestly lost all its meaning over the years, is that with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man was just like a lot of characters in The Boys. He had powers, and so he used them for money and fame as a masked wrestler. He didn't stop a mugger because he didn't have to, and that led to the death of his Uncle Ben. Peter got his powers by pure chance. Like the supes, he didn't choose to have powers. Some other force or some other person made that choice for them. However, Peter came to understand the weight of his gift, and that with great power came great responsibility. The supes, however, never learnt this lesson. They were praised for their powers, celebrated for it, and pushed to become a hero. A bit like both Bakugo and the hero system as a whole in My Hero Academia, but this isn't an anime video so I'll stay on topic. It's no surprise then that these superheroes have such disregard for other people and the world around them. They are special, they have for all their lives been put on a pedestal, so why should they care if they accidentally run for a girl who is stepping off the curb, or if they kill a terrorist rather than bringing them in alive? The society of the Boys had a clear distinction between the super and the normals. The supes were heroes, they were chosen by God, they could fly, shoot lasers, leap buildings in a single bound. If society created such a gap between supes and non-supes, then why would it be surprising that the normal people see the supes more akin to demigods, and that the supes see the normals as lesser people? And this leads to discrimination. Butcher and the Boys see all supes as evil people, as arseholes that deserve to die, just because they are supes. Which in a way, is just the same thing the supes are doing, seeing normal people as worthless people because they don't have powers. However, even though most supes see normal people as less important, they still rely on them. Why? Because they rely on praise and admiration. Supes are fanboyed after and loved by the public for their entire lives. They are loved for being special and being super. In a way, being loved is their purpose for existing. Homelander is a brilliant example of this. He is invulnerable and there doesn't seem to be a single way to kill him. However, he does have a weakness. He has a need to be loved. The biggest flaw of Homelander as a character is the reason he is still human and not a complete monster. He needs to be loved. He wants his fans to love him. He wants his son to love him. The reason he felt so head over heels for Stormfront was because she was finally someone on the same level as him, someone he can love and be loved by equally. That's why I think it was the apparent death of Stormfront at the end of Season 2, and the threat by Maze to expose his evils to the world that finally broke him. The one person to actually love him equally was gone, and his fans, the only other people to love him, could be turned against him at any time. Homelander in my books is an irredeemable character. However, that isn't strictly his fault. He was told he was superior from birth, raised without any love in a cold, sterile lab. He was a tool for Vought, the most egregious example of the flaws of the boys' superhero society. He was modelled as the person everyone loved, as the perfect American, one representing family values and the American spirit, but it couldn't be any more hypocritical. As that's what corporations do, they twist everything in the name of money. They don't care about the people they are marketing or their opinions as long as it makes money. I mean, the idea of ticking boxes and getting equal representation for all ethnic sexual enabled groups is one that is satirised throughout the run of the series. Taking the current push by corporations to be inclusive with their marketing and allow equal representation to a logical extreme. The best example in the series of this is how Vought marketed Queen Maze, a bi woman, as a lesbian. Why? Because it's easy for the public to understand and much easier to market. They made May's partner wear more masculine clothing again for this reason, as people find it easier to understand lesbian couples with defined male-female gender roles. Vought took a big personal thing for Maze, her sexuality, and warped and twisted it into an agenda to drive sales for a certain demographic. I am a writer, a storyteller myself, and as such I understand that in a good story, every piece, every character should have a purpose to play. However, what happens when said story doesn't have a character who fits X, Y, and Z, and as such the writer is forced to plug in such a character out of nowhere? It changes the story, how things slot together, and can ruin a coherent and well-planned narrative. That's what happens when token characters are inserted into a story without any form of planning or preparation. Vought, however, doesn't care for a coherent narrative or story. They will insert new heroes into the limelight if they tick the right boxes, and will remove others if they lose favour. I just find it kind of curious that at the start of the show, the Seven has one woman and one visibly not white male. It's almost like the team is all white males with a woman and a black man tagged on. And of course representation isn't a bad thing, however when people are inserted into places based not on their ability or merits, but on their gender or the colour of their skin, then the concept of fair representation turns more into the idea of ticking boxes to make everybody happy. I mean, as bad as it is to say, the whole scene with Blindspot in Season 2 is a great example of this. Yes, he fit a box being a disabled, non-Caucasian person, but let's be honest, he was weak. As Homelander says, without his ears, he's just another blind guy, and since the Seven is a team of the strongest heroes, it sadly makes sense then that weak people with only their merit of ticking a certain box shouldn't be allowed to join. Again, it's very twisted, and the line of morality in these scenarios is more than just blurred. But that's because morality isn't the name of the game. It isn't about corporations being inclusive to help promote tolerance and a better world, it's about them marketing to new demographics for increased profits. The world of The Boys is one startlingly similar to our own. Replace superheroes with celebrities and there you go. It provides commentary on many issues, and I've only just scratched the surface with this video. However, the takeaway I got from The Boys at least is that if you treat people differently, if you treat certain people as better or worse than others, then you set a precedent, and in order to align with that precedent, people will start to act differently. Those put on the pedestal will get arrogant and toxic to others, for example. And if the precedent allows for money to be made, then you know corporations will make said money in every way they know how, doing every trick in the book in order to maximise profits and market to as many people as possible. So in that regard, The Boys is a cautionary tale, along with being a fun, gory and violent satire of the superhero genre as a whole. If you have any opinions on The Boys, then tell me in the comment section down below, and if you have a suggestion for a future video, then again the comment section is funny enough down below. Also don't forget to check out my Twitter at SethTheS for channel updates and just general chatter, and if you want to talk to me directly then my DMs are always open. Or check out my Instagram at SethTheSin_cosplay to see my cosplays or random anime merchandise. So with all that said and done, I have been Seth the Sin, the deadly sin of geek, and I am signing out. Stay safe everyone.